I'm going to make an outrageous claim today. Does the name Jonbenet Ramsey sound familiar? The little modeling girl that was murdered. And, you know, the whole Epstein thing, elite pedophiles and all this stuff. Yeah, I'm going to make a claim. Could be wrong. I'm going to do it anyways. Because you ever have one of those ideas that's just like, yes! That came in like that. Jonbenet Ramsey, elite pedophile network. The name's going to come back up. Someone's going to do something, bring something. The criminal prosecutors or DAs or whoever who are now out of the way, you're going to have a real investigation kind of a thing. In other words, I just have a suspicion that that name, little Jonbenet Ramsey, is going to come up again. It's being investigated. We're taking DNA samples. Like something's going to happen. It's tied to the Epstein stuff and the criminal elite and all that. All the people coming out right now blowing the whistle against this guy. I saw one girl, I was watching a video. Again, it was on like, the Daily, something. It was like on a pretty normal TV channel, mainstream channel. She was talking about when she was 14, she was brought in and, blah, 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 what he did to her. And then I saw another one last night, and this lady's 21. She was or maybe it was this morning. An Italian model came in. Oh, yeah, go to this house over at this address. He's the guy that you need to get in to do the Victoria's Secret modeling. She goes over there. She says, I walked in, and there was already 4 or 5 models in the house walking around. I was like, oh, this must be the right place, She's brought upstairs to the infamous massage table where he hands her a sex toy, and she basically said, she goes, I threw it at his head. I don't know if I hit him or not. I ran out of there. I was terrified. And the one lady, Christine Grisane, or whatever, how we pronounce her last name, the Black Widow madam with the dark hair, she was there. And she stopped her. Hey, what are you doing? You can't just leave like that. He knows the president. He knows President Bill Clinton. They're friends. You can't just leave like this. And she's like, the house was so big, I didn't even know how to get out of the house. I ran downstairs, panicked. She goes, and she was 21, not a minor. And she goes, I got back either on a plane or a boat or whatever, and I went back to Italy, where she came from, and, try to get local modeling jobs there. She says, I didn't say a word to anybody because I felt like if this guy's got that much power, he's got Victoria's Secret models coming in and going and making, putting them on the map, I better shut my mouth. I'm not going to say anything because I may never get a job the rest of my life. I may just have my career ruined. So that's now her story. She's now feeling like she should come out and say it. So all I'm saying is I just think we are going to hear that name come up, little Jonbenet Ramsey. So I did a little research because, I was young at the time when that happened myself, but I do remember it, and I want to share with you this picture. This is her hands, and it has a fish drawn on her hands carved. Looky who we have here. This despicable human known as John Podesta. Remember that? The 14 and the fish. Remember that? You fish. John Podesta. So, that's interesting. Does anyone remember the Jonbenet Ramsey murder? She was found dead in her parents' basement in Colorado. She was reported missing on Christmas Day, 1993. Police investigation found that she had been raped and strangled. She had also had a strange fish marking on the palm of her hand. This resembles the marking John Podesta had on his hand. Is this a coincidence? The amount of ransom money was the same amount of money John Ramsey earned in his bonus, $118,000. His company was also purchased by Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin has connections to John Podesta. In the picture of her with one hand on her face, you could see that her ring finger had been broken. It is kind of twisted. It's bent backwards and to the side. This is a very unnatural position for a finger to bend. She was more than likely a victim of satanic ritual abuse. Again, just their opinion. And then I found this. Something else. Kind of a wiki type page about Pizzagate. But Jonbenet Ramsey, most specifically, submitted 2.5 years ago, another victim of ritual sex abuse. This is slightly tangential, whatever, but related nonetheless. I believe that Jonbenet Ramsey was a victim of an elite pedophile ring, which went right up to the top. Donald Freed, an investigative journalist, worked on the case for 1 year. This is what he said. Quote, in the case where there is a ransom note that triggers the FBI's jurisdiction, and this is a well-oiled machine of many decades standing. When it goes into action, the local police are pushed into periphery. And again, well, let's continue. When it's a wealthy corporate executive, and when the note in fact announces that these are foreign terrorists, now every bell in the national security system begins to ring. Then the interfacing with the CIA, the NSA, the Pentagon, all this unfolds within a matter of minutes. The Attorney General stands by, the President is wakened, ready to go on television, because it is a written and unwritten law that foreign terrorists on the soil of the U.S. should they dare commit a crime, should they dare to contemplate a kidnapping or the murder of an innocent child or American citizen or any visitor to the United States, that unleashes the full might and power of the USA, no matter what it takes or how long it takes. This was a child of a Lockheed Martin executive of a $18 billion a year firm with Pentagon and top secret clearance across the world. With this huge multi-million-dollar security apparatus that exists for that day that any member of a family of a corporate executive, any member, wife, child, or corporate executive's family should be kidnapped, they go into overdrive. That's when they earn their money, and it's when they face the CEOs in Denver, and that's where they say, here's what where Lockheed Martin stands. Your children can or cannot go to school. Your wives can or cannot go to the market. An entire protocol unfolds, talking about like the people related. The interface between the head of Lockheed Martin Security and the FBI is elaborate, and it's interlocking and it's complete. So the two units in the Boulder area and are trained to react to an act of terrorism like kidnapping are Lockheed Martin Security on one hand and the FBI on the other. Now, nobody from either two of these units came near that crime scene. And the question is, as in this case of Sherlock Holmes' dog that didn't bark, what you're looking at here is something that is so irregular, so impossible, because remember, the SOG, the seat of government, operates in this regard. When a note announces terrorism, it is the magic word in the United States for both law enforcement and budgetary considerations. So that if you say you didn't believe that note nor believe there was foreign terrorists, then you are dealing with a madman who is signing himself or herself as foreign terrorists and intends to get some fat cats. So what difference does it make whether these are foreign terrorists or a madman pretending to be foreign terrorists? You still have the most alarming situation. In the FBI bureaucracy, this is called a special. For the director of the FBI in Washington, D.C., to restrain and stand down his own agents in the field, both the local office in Boulder and the bigger one in Denver or Lockheed Martin and their agents, without going to the crime scene and being able to reassure their CEOs in Denver that they can stand down, their children can go to the park, their wives can go to the bridge club. For these assurances to be made, on which careers and budgets and lifetimes depend, there can only be one answer. They had to know. Not only were there no foreign terrorists, but they had to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that what happened neither affected the security of the United States or the security and profits of Lockheed Martin. That this was a domestic, personal, aberrational crime of some kind, or in any case, a crime which, though located inside a home, may have repercussions outside in terms of circles of people who would not want investigations going on about child pornography, child abuse, or child sexuality. I've summed up for you what a year of research has led me to. End quote. Little Jonbenet bore all the hallmarks of ritual abuse. This is what Stephen Singular had to say about the case. Quote, I had gone online and looked at pictures of little girls, 5 and 6 years old, the same age as Jonbenet, who were being used for child pornography purposes. They were being tied up by their hands and ankles and being sexually abused, or laid out on tables or hung from ceilings. They were being treated violently, and ropes, scarves, and belts were used to tie them up. These photographic situations looked very similar to the conditions surrounding the death of Jonbenet, who was strangled to death with a piece of nylon rope. End quote. He makes a note here. Also, note the similarities with the art for which John Podesta has a penchant, where little girls are hung from ceilings with ropes. Nancy Krebs came forward. She was proven to have family links to Jonbenet Ramsey, or John Ramsey's best friends. She gave police statements that she had suffered the same kind of abuse that Jonbenet had suffered. Nancy had been passed around to be raped by grown men, some of them influential and powerful. Jonbenet was found dead just after Christmas. Nancy Krebs had said that was one of the favored times of the rapists. You know, Jesus Christ, Satanists, that's our favorite time. Nancy Krebs had said that this was their favorite times, one of their favorite times of the rapists, as bruises would heal before school started. Nancy also said that the head was one of the places where the children would be hit because the bruises would not be seen under the hair. Nancy said that these grown men would tie a scarf, tie or rope around the victim's neck. The victim would be strangled until they started to choke and moan from their lack of air. Nancy's life, the one who said that she experienced the same thing, has been threatened several times. Nancy Krebs. I'm just going to do a quick Google search. News. I want news only, Google. Nancy Krebs. It's not spelled right. Interesting. Not finding anything. Of course, I am using Deep State Google. Let me go to DuckDuckGo. See if anything comes up on that. I'll go ahead and pause in the meantime. Let me show you Deep State Google's response, if you don't mind. I found this Facebook page. I don't know if that's her, so we're just going to skip that. It's a whole page of potential Nancy Krebs. So I type in Nancy Krebs. You see PhD, website, doctors, Reddit, background information, March 2000 article. And this might be something of interest. When I went to news, nothing like what I'm trying to find is even kind of here. Rex Krebs, not him, some other person. But I did find on DuckDuckGo something interesting. Innocent little Nancy. I'm gonna. Oh yeah, I'm not sharing my screen anyways. So this was posted on back in 2012, October. It has to do with Jonbenet. I'm just forgetting. Point being is I was trying to find something. Hopefully her name has come back up. I was hoping that I typed that name in, all of a sudden, oh, not John Podesta, but Epstein, and this, oh, she's out again. Now she's out. They're interviewing her. Like, that's what I was looking for. But even on DuckDuckGo, I'm not finding anything like that. But Google does seem to be a tiny bit biased with some of the results they're showing us or not showing us. But at the same time, there's not a whole lot on this particular lady. So, again, I just had the feeling like that name's going to come up again in relation to all this trafficking of children and everything else. I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to hear that name come up. Take care.